Alright, so we got the 267 spoilers, and believe it or not, Nobara has returned. That's right, she is alive, and she's actually hitting the resonance on Sakuna at the end of the chapter. And yes, I know, I made a video saying that Nobara was pretty much dead, and that we should probably just let her go at this point. Well, I was wrong. I was super wrong, and it's not like I wanted to be right, and I'll talk more about that at the end, but let's get into the spoilers. So it begins with Yuta and Gojo discussing while doing the body swap training. Yuta asks Gojo to give him the final Sakuna finger so that he can make Rika eat it and copy Sakuna's shrine curse technique, but Gojo declines Yuta's request. Gojo says even though the final Sakuna finger can fulfill Yuta's copy curse technique requirement, it's still not enough to analyze Shrine's curse technique info. Yuta agrees to it because even with curse speech, he still needed Inumaki's input on how to use it. Gojo says, I don't think it's a very smart decision to lose our connection with Sakuna. It's a gamble if I say it like Hikari. It's the heat. Yuta says the requirement to copy a curse technique is to make Rika consume a part of the subject's body. The quantity and what part of the body that needs to be consumed depends on the subject he's copying from and the number of times he'll use it. Yuta says you can think it as if you want to copy a strong curse technique. I need to take in a part of a Jujutsu sorcerer's body that's pretty fatal to them. But even if it's a fatal part of the body, I can fulfill the technique's requirement by using a binding vow to limit the use. Wow. So in the last 5 chapters of the series, we're getting the full explanation of how Akotsu's curse technique works. And also, yeah, let me point that out for anyone who's unaware at this point. It was announced by Gege recently that there are only 5 chapters remaining in the series until the ending. And this is like the 5th one, so after this chapter, there are only 4 left. It will end on September 29th for us, officially. But now we know that Rika for sure has to consume a part of the sorcerer's body, but now we also know that it depends on the quantity. So the stronger the curse technique, the more of the body that they'll need to take, which is why I guess Akotsu wasn't able to adapt a really strong curse speech, because he didn't really take, that much from Inumaki. In theory, it should have only been a little bit of blood, but that's neither here nor there. But as we saw when Rika ate Uro's arm, Akotsu then developed a pretty good sky manipulation copy. But also there could be some binding vows added, of course, because Yuta continues to say that when the subject regenerates the body part with reverse curse technique, which Rika ate, then from that point on, the body part which Rika ate will become useless, and he can't fulfill copy's curse technique's requirement. Oh, that's weird. Before I go further, let me just say, of course, I'll go way more into this chapter in my review tomorrow, which should be out in the morning sometime, Central US time. But it seems like if Rika eats a limb or something and it gets reverse curse technique regenerated, then copy will no longer work? I'm not sure if that's accurate. Yuta adds that he used Inumaki and Hana's arms because it was determined that they couldn't heal their arms anymore using reverse curse technique in modern science. Also, Yuta took a part of Charles' ribcage to copy his curse technique. Hikari assures Charles that he will be healed later. Whoa. So for some reason, Hana can't heal her arm that was bitten by Sakuna's big curse mouth, which I guess is never going to be explained either. And Inumaki's arm can't be healed anymore because it got hit by Malevolent Shrine. And then apparently they took a rib from Charles for his future sight technique. Yuta says to Yuji that even though you can't use it now, your body is already engraved with Sakuna's curse technique. There's no doubt about that, since Gojo Sensei already confirmed it with his 6 eyes. Back to the present, Sakuna notices that Yuji is missing one more finger other than the one which he tore off to transfer himself to Megumi. he realizes that Yuta used Yuji's finger to copy the shrine curse technique. So yeah, that confirms what we were speculating about yesterday. Yuji did in fact remove his ring finger and gave it to Akotsu so that Rika could eat it and then develop his own cleave, which he tricked Sakuna into thinking it was Sakuna's cleave. But they actually had Sakuna's final finger still at Jujutsu High or someplace. We're actually seeing it in this chapter, and Gakuganji and Urahime are there. And Gakuganji asks if Sakuna's finger, a special grade cursed object which can withstand any physical or jujutsu processing, can be penetrated by quote-unquote that technique. Urahime says that through a binding vow whereby removing the objective of destroying the cursed object and focusing solely on applying the technique's effect, maybe she can pull it off. But Urahime is concerned that it's only been a short time since she woke up. That's pretty funny. Suddenly, Gege is becoming Oda now with his ambiguous dialogue. But unlike Oda, Gege is going to immediately reveal who they're talking about here. But also, who would have thought? Sakuna's finger, which was said to be indestructible, like in the second or third episode, now turns out that you can destroy it by using binding vows, I guess. But anyway, who they're referring to, of course, is Nobara. And we're seeing her, and she has an eye patch, and she's using resonance, her curse technique where she uses a hammer and nail to target the soul of a target. And in this case, she's nailing Sakuna's finger, and of course that is going to hit Sakuna's soul, and he gets wrecked by this. He's like, oh no, this is that woman's curse technique. I can't open my domain. At this rate, the kid's sure hit effect will. Yuji is in tears as he realizes that Nobara is still alive. And we see Nobara addressing Yuji, and she says, how's that for Oppa Appi, you idiot? Yuji doesn't give Sakuna time to recover and instantly hits him with his soul dismantle. Yuji knees Sakuna right on his face and punches him hard, which makes Sakuna throw up. But Sakuna hasn't given up yet as he punches back Yuji. Sakuna says, did you really think that you could peel me off with your makeshift domain? Sakuna thinks that Yuji has surpassed his limits for a while as he's not even healing his injuries with reverse curse technique. And since his domain consumes a lot of cursed energy, it's over for Yuji. Sakuna is confused as Yuji hits him with his special delayed second impact punch. Yuji locks in, and with a cold face he says, let's put an end to this ever-cycling curse, Sakuna. Yuji hits Sakuna with a black flash in the final panel of this chapter. And the editor's note is the end to a long battle. So, is that it? This one last black flash that Yuji hits Sakuna with right in the solar plexus? This might be how he ultimately separates Sakuna from Megumi, and then I guess it's over. And then we will have the trio back together with Megumi, Yuji, and Nobara. And I guess Yuji doesn't have to die, maybe? Or maybe Yuji does die. Maybe he still does the thing where he transfers Sakuna to himself. And then that's ultimately how he has to take care of Sakuna's soul. Not really sure. We'll talk a lot more about this, of course, tomorrow in the full chapter review. But let me know what you think about the spoilers for now. And if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.